Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now?
I think that this subtle posting actually really gets on my nerves because if you want to tell me something, if you want to show me the back of your hot boyfriend's head, or if you want to show me him peeking behind the menu where I can just see his nice bushy eyebrows and one broad shoulder, just like post him, honestly.
I agree with you 100%.
There is a lot of data that suggests that women do like being single.
Welcome to the Ask a Matchmaker podcast. I'm your host, Matchmaker Maria, and today we are talking to incredible journalist, incredible podcast host, Nayeema Raza, who I just asked permission. Can I call you my friend? Because she's also my friend too.
Never met this woman.
Nayeema and I met on a stage.
Yes.
Because we were both booked on an NPR podcast, Open to Debate.
Open to Debate, which I sometimes guest host. And we were at the Comedy Cellar.
At the Comedy Cellar. And you're coming at me as a journalist, like you've done all your research. And I'm like, who is this woman that knows everything about me?
Yeah, the context was that Maria was debating. Maria, who was a high school and college debater, I believe, was debating against the CMO of Tinder, our friend Melissa Hobley.
Yeah.
And I was moderating them. And it was basically like a WWF. WWE wrestling match. I don't know which one. One is the World Wildlife Foundation and one is wrestling.
WWE.
It was like both of them together, actually.
Yeah.
And Melissa was arguing for dating apps, and you were arguing it's time to break up with dating apps. And I was, getting you guys in it.
And you were like really getting us into it. Like at some point, I had to say in the debate, I'm actually friends with this person. Melissa. So shout out to Melissa. Hopefully she's watching. She probably is. She listens to the pod. Anyway, before we get into it, Nayeema, I just want to remind my listeners that this podcast is for everyone. Whether you're single, in a relationship, or somewhere in between, you'll always find no-nonsense insights here into dating, relationships, compatibility, and love in modern times. I should breathe. That went really fast, but you know it. You know how the intro goes. And remember, dating is a privilege. And if you found your person, well, that is fantastic. I'm so happy for you. You will still learn a lot here. But if you are single, which I know a big part of this community is, this space is especially for you. Head on over to matchmakermaria.com, hit podcast, and ask your questions. Happy to feature them in an upcoming episode. Because my goal is to give you the tools, the insights, and yes, sometimes the tough love you need to navigate dating with clarity and confidence. And if you haven't already, buy my book, Ask a Matchmaker. It's out. Barnes & Noble, independent bookstores, Amazon, Audible, and Spotify for those who are looking for a parasocial relationship with yours truly. Is it my birthday week? When does this episode come out? No, it's not. It's next week. But you know what? This is a really good birthday gift to me by you buying the book for yourself. We could celebrate me together. Anyway, let's head into this episode. That's enough intro. Nayeema. Hi. It's funny because I did meet you on that stage, but I knew who you were because I read your op-eds in the New York Times, of which you have a few.
I do. The one you read, probably the dating one from 2020.
Yes. Yeah. So I read that one. And I also read the one about your father. Aww. But I want to talk a little bit more about who Nayeema is. She is a journalist, a filmmaker, and podcast host whose work has appeared in the New York Times, New York Magazine, and she hosts one of my favorite podcasts, Smart Girl, Dumb Questions.
Well, yeah. Are you podcast amorous? Podcast amorous? Polypod amorous?
I don't know what the word am.
Is. But you are? Oh,
yeah.
My gosh.
99% invisible. I love Roman Mars.
Okay, stop flacking other people's. Just for the next 35 minutes or whatever, be monogamous with me in my podcast with Smart Girl, Dumb Questions.
This is going to be a fun episode. She's actually listening to me. No shade to my past guests. Nayeema, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Hi,
so
how are you?
Here's the plan for today.
Okay.
You're a journalist. You are in tune with the culture. There's a lot of topical things happening right now.
Yes.
In dating.
Oh, yes, for sure.
And I want to talk about those things with you and get your takes on them.
Please.
So let's start
In addition to being a journalist, I'm also a dater.
Oh, that's true.
I'm also a dater. I benefit from your tough love sometimes.
That is true. You don't want to look at our text messages.
Yes. Okay. So,
is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? I'm sure you've seen that title. A recent article from Vogue UK written by Shantae Joseph talks about a new wave of how social media is changing how people show their relationships. Posting openly about a partner used to be celebrated. I even made a face. Posting openly. I think I just answered the question.
Yeah.
But now many women are choosing to subtly reference their partners online using blurred faces or cropped photos to avoid appearing too into the relationship while still acknowledging their partner.
I find this exhausting. Okay, tell me you have a boyfriend without telling me you have a boyfriend is more annoying than just telling me you have a fucking boyfriend. Can I swear on your podcast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. Because here's the thing. I appreciate the article and I appreciate the conversation. I think broadly, culturally, we are having a pushback to the trad wife trend that we saw. So there's like kind of a backlash happening. And I think it's echo chambery because there was one of the things referenced in that Vogue article, which I thought was very well written. And kudos to Shantae. She's fantastic. Yeah. They talked about a podcast where he said, having a boyfriend is like Republican now, you know, and so it's become politicized. And
has it?
I think there is a sense of like, oh, if you are a trad wife, you're a conservative woman and you're, you know, one of this, you love that kind of, you know.
Sure, that aesthetic.
That culture, yes. And now, and I actually really don't like this. I think as a society, we do a really bad job of addressing structural issues and like pushing people's expectations onto individual decisions. What I'm saying is like, you know, feminism taught us like, okay, we asked this question, can I have it all? And it's like, well, why don't you first ask, do you want it all? Do you want it all? And some people might choose that they really do want the trad wife life. And some people might choose that they really don't want to have a boyfriend, want to be single and like want to forbe it for life or whatever. I think the idea that everyone has to do the same thing is really annoying. Like what happened to my body, my choice, all the ethos around that kind of idea and how we take that into our culture. I also am like, okay, are we going to get to the point where boyfriends become like babies and you have to put the emoji covers on them?
I did think about that as I was reading this. I was like, the emoji covers, because that actually exhausts me as a parent.
Which emoji would you put for your husband?
I just don't.
Or your producer's going to be laughing through this episode.
I know. Now, but this is a real serious question by a New York Times reporter. Hold on a second.
Is it the smug face emoji?
No, my husband's not smug. I actually think I would put the heart eyes.
Okay.
I love him. Wait, I'm Maria, sorry.
Please go back and read the article. Having a boyfriend is embarrassing.
It's true. It's true. I have to take some notes. But no. But it is. I hear what you're saying. And I will tell you something that like, even the way I said it, even when I was saying it, I was just like, because I'm not disagreeing with you. I do think the word boyfriend after a certain age, that's how I
love
see
that
it.
word. Oh, seriously?
After a certain age and after a certain time period you've been dating, like if you've been dating for more than 6 months, he's your partner.
I'm going to tell you a story that is going to shame you. I'm sorry.
Please.
It's not about you and your hard eyes boyfriend. But
my husband.
Your husband.
My baby daddy.
So I met this guy. I'm at this dinner party in LA. In West Hollywood, and I meet the filmmaker Richard Curtis, who wrote Love Actually, Notting Hill.
I mean, I like Notting Hill, but Love Actually is by far the worst holiday movie ever made.
Okay. Look at the revenues.
We could talk about
Look at the revenues and you can decide. I think the kid going to the airport with a sign, spoiler alert.
20 years later? Okay.
I think
but that movie convinced us that Natalie was fat and she was like a goddess.
Okay. You're really applying a 2025 lens to this film. But Richard Curtis, beautiful. Okay, Notting Hill, great film.
A fantastic writer. I'm not disagreeing.
Fantastic writer, fantastic filmmaker. And I was so excited to meet him. And he says to me, we're talking, and then he says, oh, you know, you have to meet my girlfriend. She's studying, I forget, it was like cultural anthropology or social justice or something at a University of California school, USC or somewhere. And I thought, oh gosh, Richard Curtis, this famed filmmaker, has a girlfriend. And she's gonna be like, because you know he's older, he's and it's just like he's a boomer, and I'm like, he's gonna have a girlfriend, and like it's LA, it's like she's gonna be, and then I meet his girlfriend. It's Emma Freud, famed journalist, fantastic, human being, so intelligent. They've been together for 30 years, and they call themselves boyfriend and girlfriend. They have multiple children together, and I think they are the cutest. So you might not like Love Actually, but I think it looks.
Look, I think his writing is fantastic.
Okay, but address the point of like forever boyfriend. I think I'm like actually not interested in as much marriage and husband and all these words. I like a forever boyfriend. I think it's romantic. Boyfriend. Yeah, I don't have one right now, but I like it, and I'm not embarrassed to want it. the subtle stuff
There's
on
no
it.
judgment here.
No, there's, I mean, except for love, actually. Okay. But
I'm sorry. There's a lot of things here that, it's almost, there's just a lot of things other than the scene. There's two accurate scenes in that movie, right? One, the complete, honestly, it must be like a British masturbation dream where the Prime Minister of England tells off the US American president. I would love to see that happen. That would be amazing. Right?
Yeah.
Hello. When will we get that in real life? The only accurate scene in Love Actually is when that British guy with his British accent comes to Wisconsin and they're like, ooh, say the word straw.
And they go to the hot tub with
And they go to the hot tub. But I'm like, that's accurate because I have seen American women lose their minds.
Oh, I love a guy
with a man that I'm like, you're probably a bouncer at a club in Mykonos in the summer. Like, who are you?
I just love the no judgment, Maria. It's just so judgmentless when you say this. But
I just hate that British guys coming here with that accent. Ugh.
Back to the anyway, core of your
is
question.
Is a boyfriend embarrassing?
I think that this subtle posting actually really gets on my nerves because if you want to tell me something, if you want to show me the back of your hot boyfriend's head, or if you want to show me him peeking behind the menu where I can just see his nice bushy eyebrows and one broad shoulder, just post him, honestly. I agree.
I agree with you 100%.
And I think a lot of these things are lies. So one of the things that Shantae referenced in that article was that both the podcasters that were discussing this on one episode, the Republican idea, both were in relationships. And I think that a lot about the trad wife trend. A lot of these women are like, I don't work, I have this aesthetic. But then you're like, who's taking your photos? I'm like, actually, you have a huge business and your husband kind of works for you. He's a super Instagram husband, and he's an unpaid Instagram husband.
And we're not showing the maids. We're not showing the nannies. We're not showing what it takes to run a household. I think there is a generation of women that are being influenced by the trad wife content who don't realize it is really hard to not only sustain a marriage and children, but to add that glossiness, that's not a reality for
sure.
People.
And I think that also, and especially in educated New York, whatever circles, and coastal, whatever you want to say, people are also misled by the alternative. Oh, having a single life is so great. It's so great. Oh, I know so many women now who have hit their late 30s and are wistful about not having had a child, about having focused so much on a career that maybe they don't even find themselves that happy in, but now they're indentured to because they, the salary and house and all the things, right? So again, I think this idea of jamming some expectation of life onto us, whether it was you have to be married and cook dinner by 6 and have 4 kids or whatever it was, to, oh my God, you have to be a trophy wife and you have to be Amal Clooney and have a great career and be married to someone. And it doesn't matter what it is. It really takes away the focus for looking at what you want, and you want your one life to look like. And you could make a very different choice. There is a lot of data that suggests that women do like being single. Because Stephanie Kuntz from Stephanie Kuntz, great researcher, she has written about how, if you look at happy couples, I think it's first gay men married to gay men are very happy. I mean, obviously the sex is happening in that kind of thing.
Do you think so?
Do I think two men that are together like to bonk? They don't practice the 12-date rule, let me tell you, in the gay culture.
I know, but I don't think that's why they're happy.
No, but I think there's a lot of reasons, but
I think men with other men can communicate or just avoid all communication in a different way than a man and a woman can sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. Then I think a second is, and people should fact check this, but the second would be, I think, women married to women, and the third was there was a drop off. Then there's men married to women, and then the least happy are women married to men. So I can tell you the happiest was men married to men, and the least happy was women married to men. And then if you look at the data also, when people get divorced, women tend not to remarry, and certainly not to remarry fast as, at the same rate as their ex-husbands. And people think, oh, it's because older men are more desirable than older women. No, it's actually because women are like, I've taken care of people, and now I want to have my enjoyment. And they also have more social fabric around them, friends, community, whatever it is.
And some men don't know how to boil an egg, so they need to find a wife.
Yeah, but even that, I think our culture is really, it's just really hard out there as a dater. I think people looking for love, if you want that in your life and then you're made to be embarrassed about wanting it, it's like if you want to lose weight but you're embarrassed about wanting to lose weight. It's fine if you want to lose weight.
Right.
I'm quoting Sam Anderson's piece in New York Times Magazine where he wrote about, using Noom, and he's like, I wanted to lose the weight, but I was embarrassed to want to lose the weight. And so, the psychology of it, I just think, your own desires, you can fulfill those. And if we as a society get pushed into these versions, we have very bad generational outcomes. You have generations where women maybe are not having children or not coupling up at the same rate, and some are unhappy about that. Or you have generations where everybody's procreating and they're unhappy about that. In the long term, I think it leads us to more loneliness.
I think you're bringing up a lot of really great points, and it kind of goes down to the mantra that I have, which is like, how much is enough? That sort of question whenever I look at billionaires, I'm like, how much is enough? Like, how much more do we need here? But also at the same time, it's something that you said before, which is like, you have this one life, right? And I think in terms of like, what is this all that is being promoted to us? You're showing us that like that we're getting these very extreme scenarios from both ends presented to us as options, when really most of us are going to live in the gooey middle. Right. And I think at the end of the day, in this one life that we have, and if you believe in God, in this one life that you will be judged for, right? I think by whomever, some imaginary being, I suppose, we have to consider your own, you have to kind of be a little selfish in your own happiness. And what I mean by that is, for instance, like today on my way here, NPR posted an article. I forget by who it's by, and I'm so sorry, but it was a piece on women who decided to become moms on their own, which I fully support. If you want to be a mom, just be a mom. And a lot of women mention like the pressure of like finding the right man because they want to have kids. I'd just rather have the kids and date later.
I had a great conversation recently on Smart Girl Jam Questions with a renowned psychotherapist and also a very good friend of mine, Esther Perel. And Esther talks about this. And I think that, it's been very refreshing to me to hear her over the last years of her saying to me, if you want to have a child, you can consider to do that yourself. And it wouldn't be by yourself, because you have community. You can find a partner you can find somebody who wants to have a kid and outside of a romantic relationship. But what I think is so powerful, it's very liberating, the advice she's giving, in a sense, because we live in a world where the order of operations does not need to be the order of operations anymore. As she said, you can become a grandmother without ever having been a mother. You might marry, you might have stepchildren who have kids. But the idea, she said to me, of holding yourself hostage to a person you don't know, to have a future that you dream of, is an unnecessary step. And I find that very liberating, a lot of agency in that advice. And I think in the same way, like if that's really what you want, and if you're a person who really seeks partnership, that's great. I'm a super independent person who really loves partnership. And she kind of diagnoses me, and I think a lot of women in our culture, as, how do you navigate and negotiate between those two parts of yourself?
Right. Do you feel like...
Oh no, she's becoming a therapist. Maria's going to do thing. Okay, she's going to say, what do
I do want to say that the NPR article that I referenced, it's how women over 30 are rewriting the single mom narrative in America, and it's by Pallavi Gogogi and Janet W. Lee. I really appreciated what they wrote and the women that they featured, because it wasn't just like, I want to be a mom and men be gone. It was, I'll if I decide to do this, if I decide to find a partner, but here's the community. It even showcased the community. It showed also, like one woman, I remember she moved back in with her parents, in her community. And I think that's okay.
That's actually what it is. I think a lot of this stuff, if you look at in New York, we have more women than men. In China, they have a lot more single men than women. And the single men are paying for, Violet Fang has made a great documentary about this that I was just watching. The men are paying for dating advice and matchmakers and looking for how to find women in that society. And they're having to compete, and the women are, and people are finding relationships online, like Love in Deep Space. It reports to have 50 million users by now. It's a game where you're mining for love effectively, and we have to think what this is pushing us towards. So many of our challenges in modern life are about, I think, the supreme independence and individualization that we have been pushed. And I think part of that is feminism, and and part of that is capitalism. Everyone have your own washing machine. Everyone have your own car. Everybody have your own. So
convenience culture too. We've lived frictionless lives, so we're not even participating in our community in doing things.
And I have a reaction to it, like when you said, oh, you have to be a little bit selfish. I think you have to be a little thoughtful about your life. I think that we are too oriented around ourselves, our self-help, our self-this, our self-care, our boundaries, all of this stuff. Okay. And I know it's going to piss off some people when I say that, but I was raised in a culture, in Pakistani of origin. I grew up largely in Asia and Africa, although I'm American as well. And I feel like there's something about community. So when you talk about a woman moving in with her parents to have children, I think, wow, she's going to have so much love, and she's going to have people to take care of her. And that's what a family can be. And when we look at this myth
and
of
vice
a
versa, they get
care
too.
Yeah, and they get the joy of the children. Everybody in that, there's so much care and love going around. What many would call the myth of the nuclear family, this experiment that existed for maybe like 50 to 70 years before divorce rates became so hard. It's currently
collapsing before our eyes.
But it is a myth, because when we went to single family homes and then we went to 2-parent household incomes, we go to single parent homes pretty quickly, right?
Right.
And I think that we need more social infrastructure. The alternative that we are moving towards faster and faster is you're in a relationship with your phone. You're in a relationship with your AI. You're in a relationship with, you're not on social media. Even social media is not cool now. Part of the reason it's not cool to have a boyfriend or whatever they are arguing is because
people aren't posting.
As much. And then extend that. Should I not post about my career successes? It's probably annoying to some people that are also
I've been struggling with that personally too. Like, oh, can I post about this? And as a result, it's like delayed.
Yeah. So then, you know what? Go home, tell your husband, if you have a husband, your heart eye emoji husband, tell your ChatGPT boyfriend, tell your chat daddy, if you
have you named your chat?
I call him chat daddy because I have this relationship with him, and it probably gives you insight into my relationships generally. I like to make him believe he has power, but then I give him very strict instructions. The other day I was delayed, and I'm like, chat daddy, I need your help, but I don't want you to be obsequious or sympathetic. I'm stuck on a tarmac for the last 6 hours. I need to make a decision about flights. Be efficient. Don't tell me you feel sorry for me. Give me my options and prioritize them out. So he gave me great options. And if you don't do that, if you're like, I'm trapped, they're like, so sycophantic, like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's such a hard day to be stuck on a tarmac. I'm like, I don't need that from you.
Right.
Just need answers.
So speaking of AI, have you heard of this New York City restaurant? It's new, leaning into AI dating companions. Eva AI Cafe is a pop-up heading to New York City designed for people to enjoy a romantic date with their AI companions.
I've seen stuff like this in Japan. I didn't know it was coming to New York. Do they have a table minimum for both people? It seems like a business play.
Well, they're saying, 1 out of 3 young adults are building emotional relationships with AI instead of real people.
Okay, but I think, can I just say something about surveys for your audience as well?
Yes,
I think to be a sophisticated consumer of surveys, we talk a lot about how polling has been wrong, but we don't really talk about how surveys are challenged. I'm not speaking specifically to this survey, which I'm familiar with. I think it was 28% of people reported, 28% of Americans reported that in this particular survey. Okay, first of all, the N of is probably small. The total number of the people is probably small. There's a correlation between people who are going to spend time with you and answer on a phone or on a screen all these questions about really spending time correlated with people who would maybe have a relationship with. So I think that's hard to imagine. I think a more interesting survey that I've seen is 1 out of 4 young people believe that human relationships will be replaced by AI. And I think that's really interesting. And when you correlate that with actual data, which is different than a survey, of the fact that teens these days are having relationships at much lower rates. I want to say it was something like 80% of, boomers or Gen Xers had relationships by the time they were 20. And now, I'll have to be fact checked on this, and now it's something like half of that.
I think it's less than half.
Yeah. So, and now you think, okay, well then they're getting this relationship with AI.
Yeah.
Okay, what relationship are you getting with that? Even if you fall in love
with a robot.
It's also human. Speaking of that selfishness and sycophantism, right? It's sure, but it's also it's a one-way street.
Exactly.
You're telling it it's your problems.
That's what makes it manipulative, right? Because it's going to answer to what you're asking from it.
It's going to make it harder for you to date in the real world because your expectations, you do not learn how to care. Caring is such an important part of what makes us human. The fact that we care for and we love each other and we care for each other as citizens. And when we move into societies where we're just told it's all about us and you eat what you kill and it's a total meritocracy and you are where you are because you're so great, there's no room for luck. I think all of that is just pushing us deeper into loneliness, which we acknowledge is a problem, which our past research in general called an epidemic.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot, right? There's all these things collapsing at once. And it's, like you mentioned before, the nuclear family. I talk about that in my book. I think it's a failed experiment.
Yeah.
I also believe that in this country, thank you. I also believe though that in this country, we also have a lack of town squares, right? Like our infrastructure is not designed for us to connect. You know, you leave work, you're alone in your car. You maybe go to the supermarket, these are really wide aisles. You're not really necessarily talking to people or running into the people that are in your neighborhood because you don't know them, because your houses are an acre apart or a quarter acre apart, close, but you don't know your neighbors.
Yeah.
So you're not interacting with anyone. And then like, it's funny because I live in Greece for the summer and I have a whole other reaction because my house is on a town square.
Yeah.
When I go to the supermarket, I know the people in my neighborhood and I'm only there for a few weeks a year, but I have created this like cohesive community very quickly where it's like, now I'm accountable.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is, because how can you be exhibiting empathy and vulnerability if you also can't exhibit accountability?
Agree. But I think New York is different to the suburban life that you're describing.
Sure, and of course that's what you're describing. New York City though is its own animal.
Its own animal. It's also insane. I think about this all the time. Like you're walking 6 inches from someone who might be like shooting up next to you, and you're just like, it's a weird social
also the
contact,
city that is attracting a very specific personality type.
Yes.
LA has the same thing though. LA attracts a very specific personality type.
Yes, I do think there's some kind of community that happens in cities like New York where actually like people are very efficiently communal.
But I feel like capitalism in New York City is actually what's hurt the communal aspect of New York. Because I remember New York. I mean, I moved to the city in 2008 and I lived here for 10 years. And I remember in 2015, like 2014, 2015, seeing a noticeable difference in how we break bread with each other, how we talk to each other. And it was a lot because of everything became very expensive.
So you also left the city. I think post-pandemic, there is a communal
totally
experience. I think there was something about being a New Yorker in that situation. But I agree. Look, it's very hard to talk about anything as monoliths. But overall, as a society, we are becoming, as Esther Perel would say, more atrophied, more social atrophied.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, I'm a creep, and I'll talk to like the stranger next to me on the airplane. I talk to the grocer.
I mean, you and I are both natural extroverts. And it's funny that you talked about social atrophy because that's what was at the debate. When we did the debate at the Comedy Cellar with NPR's Open to Debate, that was the thing that we talked about, that like online dating apps do contribute to social atrophy, as does everything else that's currently impacting modern dating.
Are you still arguing your point from the Comedy Cellar debate?
Melissa. All right. I've got one last news item.
Tell me.
Zohran Mamdani is giving dating in New York hope.
Oh my God. I love these memes.
Okay. Are you ready? I really love his wedding photos, but we'll talk about that in a second. New York City politician and New York City mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani met his wife Arama Douaji on a dating app. They met on Hinge, and their first date was at a low-key coffee shop, not Dunkin' Donuts, not Starbucks, a mom-and-pop coffee shop, where they bonded over music, art, and shared values. They later married in a civil ceremony in New York City Hall and held their Muslim nikah, thank you. Sorry. Yeah. They later married in a civil ceremony at New York City Hall. That's where I got married with my emoji heart husband.
I hope you wore the emoji to the civil wedding.
Yeah. Yes. And then but I did not have a Muslim nikah in Dubai. Yes. I had my traditional Greek wedding in Athens, but that's where Mamdani and his wife, that's where they did it. They did in Dubai. So Rama is Syrian American artist.
Designer. Very talented. Fantastic work.
Fantastic Instagram.
I mean, I just think her work is extremely.
That's where I saw her portfolio. I was like, wow, this is a really cool first lady. Yeah. Love her style. But I had an episode earlier this year where the gentleman joining us on the couch was arguing against coffee dates. He believed in the marathon dates and that dates should be the best date you've ever been on. And I said, as I say on the book, your first date, especially with a stranger from an online dating app, should just be a vibe check.
So we'll get to the coffee thing in a second, but I just want to say I love the memes that are going around, which is like, could have been you, but you didn't want to go to Queens. Could have been you, but you didn't want to go to Brooklyn. Could have been you, but you didn't want to date someone in government. Like, and now you could be first ladies. I actually do love that because I think favorite. That dating apps like kind of condense a person into what they have done, and a lot of our like how we hire, a lot of how we think in life is about people's past.
Somebody swiped away a soulmate.
I love that. Like it's like, oh, imagine your future, imagine the counterfactual and
imagine
the possibility of somebody that, imagine having the benefit of the doubt in someone that you haven't even met yet. It's a very romantic and beautiful concept.
Imagine they connected, imagine they messaged through Hinge, and then he said, let's go for a coffee date and see if we vibe, and you said, no, it needs to be a fancy restaurant
But they went to Kawa.
employee.
Kawa is like where all the hot Muslim dates happen, by the way. There's like a culture, there's all these like coffee and chai shops coming up where a lot of dates happen. And it's funny because, you know, I'm Pakistani, and in Pakistan, like when you go on a date, because you don't really go, you go meet up at a coffee shop, like the hot spot in Lahore or whatever. And so it's interesting to see that culture here as well. It is a lot more, you know, PG-13 in a way. And I think it's also sweet and natural. I personally don't drink coffee, so I don't do coffee dates. Like I will happily
do tea?
No, I don't really do caffeine.
Ice cream, gelato. I think I talk about
yeah,
that in my
I'd be
book.
happily go on a
for a
gelato
walk
date.
and some gelato.
Yeah, you love that. You said that on my podcast.
Did
as well.
I do?
Yeah, you said that.
I'm telling you, everyone wants to see you lick.
I love, and then it's like I order. Wow, you just really keep that in. This is an X-rated podcast.
That's why he's a
called
heart
Ask a
emoji
Matchmaker.
guy.
If you want a slightly less X-rated experience, you can come over to Smart Girl Dumb Questions.
Yes,
where I'm not
yes.
licking the microphone.
Although I've got to say, your chemistry with Diplo on a previous episode, I still think about it. Did you guys go on a date?
What are you talking about?
Hard hitting news here.
You know what's funny? No, it was a great
fantastic
episode.
chemistry. I love that episode.
It was fantastic.
I wanted to hate it so badly when I was like, all right, let's see.
Yeah, he's the kind of person you would want to hate.
Let's see what he's gonna say. And then by the end, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna subscribe to him on Spotify now.
Join a run club.
Do I like him? Am I joining a run club?
So the thing,
he's amazing. I really liked him. He did a great job.
But he's fantastic. I think that people don't appreciate about Diplo West that he's so global, so intelligent, and I think the vibe was so great because we have a similar kind of like yes and banter.
I could have listened to that episode for 4 more hours. I listened to it twice actually. So
Wait,
I was like, what
is this like your soft porn? My
I
Smart Girl Dumb Questions episode with Diplo?
I am a person who likes intelligent conversations.
You're a sapiosexual.
Yes, I am.
And did you like when we were like taking off some clothing, some shoes were being exchanged, some footsie was being played? At
that point, I was in the shower doing my hair.
Wait, where was the shower head? I'm kidding. I think that he's great episode. I really enjoyed it.
I also liked your first episode out the back. For anyone who's not listening to Smart Girl Dumb Questions, please change that. That's a fantastic podcast. But I really liked your first episode too with Mark Cuban. Yeah. I think I sent that episode to like 100 people.
Was that a little flirty too? I think
it was very like mentor.
Yeah, I think Mark Cuban's great, and we had a really fun conversation. I'm like, why is the NBA better than the U.S. government at regulating billionaires when the billionaires own the teams on the NBA? Like, it makes no sense.
He was very good at he was a fantastic at answering your dumb questions.
And also, I think what's great about
Mark,
not
that dumb. I think your questions are actually quite smart.
I think they're disarming, I suppose. But what I think is great, but the idea is like be confident enough to be curious, right? Ask the question. And I feel confident enough in my intelligence that I can ask things that other people would feel embarrassed and want to ask their phone. Yeah. What I appreciate about Mark is that he wants to have a conversation, and he's also interested in what you think. And he recently said something, he tweeted or put on Blue Sky, that the thing AI can't, he's quite an AI booster in some ways, but he's like, the thing AI can't do that humans can do is say, I don't know, practice humility. And I thought, I don't know that humans are doing that much these days, Mark, but he does that. And very rare to find a billionaire that would do that. But I was going to say, yeah, that conversation with Diplo is probably not one that I could have done when I was at the New York Times. I don't think they would have frowned upon this footsie, letting an interview guest touch your feet is not something that would
I just
be
love
done.
that everybody knows that your first relationship was with someone who had a foot fetish, and that ruined you.
Yeah, it's like
it keeps coming up on episodes.
You got to listen to the one with Justin Garcia, evolutionary biologist, head of the Kinsey Institute at University of Indiana and sex studies. Fantastic about are we having sex these days? You should have him on your show. He's got a book coming out.
Introduce us, honey.
I will do. I will totally introduce you. Oh my God. He has a great book coming out called The Intimate Animal. You should get that book along with the book Ask a Matchmaker. These are books that you should be reading. Everyone should read more books. Okay. You, by the way, were a great guest.
I was on Smart Girl Dumb Questions.
You were fantastic. We dove into the matchmaker industry. Did you listen to the episode?
Yes, 3 times.
Oh, more than you listened to Diplo? Were you in the shower?
No, I wasn't. I never listened to me as a guest on podcasts ever. I don't even listen to. I can't. Like, I don't want to hear my voice.
But this is your favorite podcast. But
this was my favorite podcast. A and B. I actually left when we recorded. I actually left really upset with myself. I was like, I could have done this, and I could, because I've never been asked the kinds of questions you were asking me on a podcast.
About the business of matchmaking.
The business of matchmaking.
Oh, I was like fascinated to learn that matchmakers have like an industry association. You guys go and cruise together. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like the economics of it, everything. But I feel what I want to say.
But I was really happy with the episode is what I want to say. That's why I listened to the second time to like enjoy it. And then the third time I forced my husband to listen to it and I was listening to it in the background.
I hope he was wearing the emoji face.
Always.
I think that you were fantastic. People have loved that episode. So many people have written in. They love it. They love your dating advice. Yeah, because you tell it like it is. And actually, I want to apologize to you then that you left feeling that you hadn't done a good job, because that makes me feel.
No, you were great.
No, but part of my job as a host is to make sure that you feel great. And so I'm sorry but the journalist in me also likes to ask hard questions. So I want to let you know that you were great in the episode, as you know, because you've listened to it 3 times.
I just got really nervous. And while I don't suffer from imposter syndrome, just knowing like who was in that room that day too, like Esther Perel and, who were the previous guests, because I actually listened to your podcast and I love the guests that you have on. I was like.
It's called Smart Girl Dumb Questions. Her favorite podcast. She's gone from one of her favorites to favorites. See that? 99% invisible. What? Keep going.
I don't know. Maybe I'll manifest Roman Mars in 2026 to come on the couch here too.
Maybe.
I love his voice. I don't want to know what he looks like. It's only going to ruin it for me. That's what happened for me for Pod Save America.
Yeah.
I think their voices are fantastic. And then I saw their faces and I was like,
no, Jon Favreau.
Okay. I mean, they're not bad looking.
Okay, Jon Favreau is so cute. Okay.
They're cute,
they're
but
all
it
getting
just
older
doesn't,
now.
it just doesn't
sorry to be
click,
ageist. No, I once saw Jon Favreau at Barry's boot camp, and I was there with my friend Patrick, who's gay, and we got so excited we saw Jon Favreau of Pod Save America, and we're like, should we talk to him? Should we talk to him? And so we go up to him and we're like, he's already engaged at this point. And we're like, we studied politics in college. And he's just like, okay, that's so weird that these like 30-year-olds are coming to me. Just tell me what they study. And then we just tried to have conversation with him, and he was obviously trying to go to class.
But did he know that you would be Nayeema Raza?
I was on the treadmill next to him, and I just like couldn't focus. I had to move onto the floor. And then when we were leaving, poor Jon Favreau, who's like, these people are probably stalking me, is leaving the parking lot of Barry's Boot Camp West Hollywood, and we see a car come up, and we didn't know it was him, but Patrick kind of went to the back of the car. I went to the front of the car, and then all of a sudden he's blocked between the two people who he thought he was stalking. We're stalking him for the last hour. So I apologize, Jon Favreau. We have, I think, since met, and
do you think I'm his favorite podcast, and therefore he's listening to this right now, and he's like, finally, an apology from that psycho stalker who studied politics.
I hope that Jon Favreau just like at the end. I know that. I think that at the end of his day, it would be great if he listened to the Ask a Matchmaker podcast.
I think so too.
Because he has so much political stuff swirling around his head. He needs a little bit of decompression. He needs to know if it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend. If it's embarrassing to be him right now.
Maybe he'll
he'll
like Mamdani more, knowing that he's just a regular guy going for coffee dates.
Maybe.
Thank you so much, Nayeema, for joining me today on Ask a Matchmaker. I so appreciate you. You were fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
I know the listeners, they're going to be in the comments on YouTube telling us how they agree or disagree with Nayeema and me. That's totally fine. We welcome the engagement.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow Nayeema's work, follow her on her socials, and listen to her podcast. Go subscribe to it now. Smart Girl, Dumb Questions. While you're there, if you've yet to do it, subscribe to Ask a Matchmaker. What are we doing now? Yours comes out on Tuesdays too.
Yeah.
Hello. Now I know how you're going to be spending Tuesday mornings. You're going to listen to my podcast and Nayeema's podcast.
Blow dry your hair, get a workout,
take a shower.
Hour and a half of content, people.
Yes.
It's a bundle. That's what they call bundle in the business.
Yes. Bundle it up. Don't forget to check out matchmakermaria.com. Go check out the roundtable every Monday at 8 p.m. I'm there. Happy to talk to you more one-on-one. And Nayeema, thanks again for coming on the podcast.
I loved it. I had so much fun. I'm leaving feeling great. I think I did a great job. What do you guys think?
She did a great job. She did a great job.
I'm teasing.
It's not you. It wasn't you. It was me. It was.
You're perfect. Don't change a thing.
I love
you're
you.
Great.
I'm so happy we're friends. We're gonna hug after this. I
have
hug
emoji
now.
heart eyes.
My foot's
for you.
asleep too.
If you post this, will you put the emoji?
I will.
My face,
we will
like
put. We will do that. Maybe we'll do the smug one too.
Can you carry me? Okay, good. Bye, guys.
Be lovable, but more importantly, be likable. See you next week.